Welcome to a scintillating, steamy, and sultry book review on Beautiful Swimmers, Watermen, Crabs, and the Chesapeake Bay by William W. Warner. Now hold on, don't click off. This is not a joke. This is a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. And I'm going to take this a little more seriously than you're expecting. We're going to talk about this book, and I'm going to say things, and you're going to think that I'm joking. But then I'm going to put them on the screen. Let's really set the mood. This is a late Valentine's Day episode for those of you who are wondering. NyQuil, Beautiful Swimmers, unironically, did for northeastern American crab and clam fishers what Levi Strauss did in his seminal work, Les Trois Tropiques. And once again, that sounds like a joke summary. It's kind of not. But for those of you who haven't read Les Trois Tropiques, the seminal sociological work about indigenous tribes in Brazil, it's very much like Lord of the Rings, except instead of a hobbit going to destroy a ring on Mount Doom across Middle Earth, it's about a narcissistic French sociologist who goes on an adventure to Brazil, and in the last 10 pages, he goes, it's what you think it's about, but he's awesome. And he describes everything around him so much. Much like Tolkien. Much like Mr. Warner. I took some notes. And let's begin our review. Can you tell if this is a joke or not? One of the most dramatic moments in the opening, towards the beginning of the book, is when Frank the fisherman says, "I want to go swimming." And then our humble narrator says, "I ain't got time to swim." Now you're thinking, wow, this is a stupid video. That's stupid, Stephen. And I said sultry. I said sultry at the start. And that's very specific. This is, as much as this work might represent a narcissistic French sociologist version of Lord of the Rings, it also has tonal similarities to the 50 Shades series. There is not only just a discourse on the mating rituals of certain animals, there are pictures, there are terminology, there are words that I didn't know existed. Put the picture on the screen, Bobby. He's my new editor, Bobby. Certainly, the blue crab has ample mechanisms to get the job done. The first serious studies of sex recognition have only been recently published, but the fishermen of Chesapeake have known a long time about crab. Okay, that last part was a joke. But it's gonna get steamier. Once again, this is a direct quote. "My friend, you never seen crabs making love?" I'm realizing now I might not be able to put all this on YouTube. Fishermen too. Act real horny they do. Okay, I can't say that. Then the narrator, our humble fisherman guide here, says, "Do you think so? I don't think so. I know so." That's right. The jimmies on their body and the females rocking side to side, contented like. They are It is their way of And then our narrator says, "This description is reasonably accurate." Pulitzer Prize winner, 1977. But wait, you think that there's only lovemaking and the more sensual aspects of life. How about for some excitement? On page 82, the chapter Follow the Water details us a section where a family is murdered by crabs. Oh yes, there are thrills, there are chills. Father, mother, and 5 children meet an untimely end. Mr. and Miss Peeler and family of 5 small children met an untimely end on Wednesday of this week when they were ruthlessly torn apart in their winter home. Against Mr. Peeler's will, Miss Peeler insisted that the time had not come for them to move away from their winter cottage. One of the 5 little Peelers who, childlike, must have left a door or window open at night. There is some confusion how the crabs may have murdered the adults. There is some confusion as to how the adults fell victim to these voracious crustaceans. It is theorized by the local sheriff that Miss Peeler and her husband must have fainted from shock. And then it goes on to actually explain the author's version of how this could have happened, which has some golden lines like, Mr. Peeler at once hurried back to his hysterical spouse with a daring that reminds one of the great heroes of old who bade defiance to the sea, the earth, the air, and all things therein. That's one way to talk about a man who was eaten by crabs. And so we've had thrills. We've had chills. We have unironically have some very sordid descriptions in this piece that is unironically worthy of being a Pulitzer Prize winner. But wait, you're saying to yourself, Stephen, what about the religious aspect? Will my soul be nourished? Oh, what do I have for you? I have a character named Lester, page 170. Lester's full name is Lester Lee, and he works with the chicken neckers. What's a chicken necker? Don't worry about it. What you need to know is that when asked by the author what's his opinion on the chicken neckers, Lester Lee replies, well, you know, I learned to love them, he says. And I ask, how is that possibly the case? How do you love a chicken necker? Lester Lee replies, oh, the Bible tells me so. Lester Lee is a gentleman. Back in the 1977, a single small town in rural New England would eat 40,000 pounds of clams a year, that's really how the book ends. It is surprisingly environmental and about the breeding requirements for keeping a sustainable population of clams. Unfortunately, we don't get the sultry descriptions that we do for the crabs. It would be vile, but come on. How does that happen with clams? That is a whole new fetish that you could put out into the world. Time magazine says, worthy of shelf space along Rachel Carson's classic, Edge of the Sea. Sports Illustrated says, elegant, moving, informative, and provocative. Once again, this video is not a joke. Now, if there are children in the audience, you may want to close their eyes.